to the Tottenham Depot. I am your host, Andrew. You can follow me at Astetka. You can follow us at Tottenham Depot. This is episode 275, and I've got Todd alongside to talk about what is going to be a struggle. We're going to struggle to talk about Spurs. We're going to struggle to talk about anything positive, but we're going to do it together. We've agreed to that. Formal handshake and everything. TC, what is up, my friend?
What's up, brother? Any day, you can get together and talk to your mates about some Champions League football and the knockout rounds is a good fucking day. And that is where my head is at, because I definitely do not want to talk about anything prior to that, because I can't change it. And, oh shit, I forgot. We have a podcast. So, yeah, we're going to get into all of that. And good gravy, was it fucking messy? And I'm not talking about Lionel. So let's go.
We are recording this on Friday evening in the States on the 6th, a day after Spurs. I don't even know another word to say other than imploded against Crystal Palace at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Thursday. It went about as well as it could have. And that's kind of the way I've been feeling about this at this point. Like, I didn't expect anything, and I got exactly that. Nothing is the way it felt.
Well, fortunately, that you are not the barometer for expectation. And there are a lot of other people, including folks that afterwards decided to go up to the owner's box and let folks know how they felt, that feel like we should have got something from that match. Myself being one of them, and I said so on this very podcast. But what I can say to you is what I saw was exactly what happened against Arsenal. We had a crazy sequence where we give up a goal that, from my perspective, was clearly offside, but the way that the graphics made it look, it was a lot closer than everybody thought it was.
He definitely looked offside live.
He looked offside to me.
But then when they showed the replay, I was like, oh, he's on.
And when they showed it, it was like...
It was
it was like a finger in a nose hair or whatever it was caught him offside. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
nuts.
But for me, it looked super offside. So I was glad that it worked out that way. Then we go down and we get a goal because we had the game at that point in time, and I felt like we were in a good spot. And then on some retribution shit for Palace, if we're being 100% about it, because LaCroix got done up from some ticky-tacky bullshit on the last man in the box against Man United. Mickey does some hand fighting outside of the box that then continues into the box, and Nathaniel Klein doing Nathaniel Klein things, and absolutely sniper shot falling to the ground, gasping for his life. And Mickey's got to go. I kind of hate it. I thought that we were very hard done by in that moment. But to be fair, depending on which frame you chose to freeze it at, it looked to me both like a flop and like Mickey tugged on the guy in the box. So you look at it, and if I'm putting my Andrew hat on, he's got to go. Unfortunately, when that happens, it was so sudden that it just took the air out of us. And when that happens, as we've seen multiple times this season, without a veteran leader on the pitch, like literally, we're down. Fucking Vicario had the armband by the end, and he's basically fucking kicking the ball into his own net, for Christ's sake. Like, that's a really, really tough place to be as a football club. So yeah, it looked fucking miserable. And then fortunately, thank you to Palace for shutting up shop in the second half and just letting us quietly crawl between our legs, crawl home with our tail between our legs, all 10 men of us. So I mean, not only to get a straight red for the last man penalty, but doing it in the box. And it's not like, I knew as soon as the penalty was called that it was going to stand and Vicario was not going to save it. And
I think, to your point though, like, when that happens, okay, like this is the problem with Spurs, and it's been a problem for a very, very long time. Like, we're talking well back into the Pochettino days, is that when one thing goes wrong, it immediately snowballs. And that's mentality. That comes down to not only coaching, it comes down to leadership, as you mentioned.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
There's nobody grabbing this team and these players by the scruff of the neck. And I'm not talking about Igor Tudor. Igor Tudor has to go.
I'm not. Okay.
Clueless, but we'll shelve that for a second. There's nobody grabbing these players by the scruff of the neck and saying, "Hey, I know something bad just happened, but that doesn't mean it all has to go downhill from here." And what happens in stoppage time? They fall apart, and 2 more goals are in the back of the net before the fans can even run up to get a beer. And that's why.
And the game's done.
The game's done at that point. It's over. The second half is a novelty. You're right.
So I look at this and I say there's 3 things that are a takeaway here. And I think you're going to want to talk about 2 of them, and I don't think you're going to want to talk about the third, but we're going to have to. So the first thing is, you're absolutely right. It does boil down to mentality. And I think, attitude reflects leadership, and that goes up to the very, very top. And what I mean by that is what Enoch has proven over the years is that we're not going to buy that killer. We're not going to buy that guy that we know we're going to pay him and he's going to get us over the line. We're going to look for the bargain. We're going to try to develop the youth. We're going to try to catch lightning in a bottle like we did with Harry Kane and Dele Alli. That's our entire approach. And the problem with that is that it trickles down onto the field. The second thing, Igor Tudor is not the problem. This is like having a couch made out of shit and then complaining about the slip covers. So I'm looking at this going, is he clueless about are there growing pains with Igor Tudor having it be his first time in the Premier League? Yeah. When you have 2 healthy center backs on the pitch and you insist on playing a back 3, you're going to, that shows you're a little bit of stubbornness and immaturity and inability to adapt to the situation that you're looking at the highest level of the game. And the third thing, but in my opinion, he's not the problem. We should be able to do what he's asking us to do when we're healthy and not suspended. We should be able to ask to do what he's asking us to do and to be successful. And so, as I maintain, I still think we're staying up. And a big part of the reason why is I think we're going to get the players back over the next few weeks that are going to allow us to do those things right about the time that we're playing competition that we should be able to beat. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. But I'm over here going, if this is our last time in the Premier League, which is a crazy fucking thing to say as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, but if this is our last time in the Premier League for the next foreseeable future, I'm going to sit here and say my team's going to be able to get it done. I've watched too many teams pull themselves out of the depths of relegation. Fucking West Ham's on a heater right now.
They very much are.
So I'm looking at which is
not something we've addressed. The fact that both West Ham and Forest picked up points this week.
I don't want to fucking talk about it. As soon as Mickey got sent, I was like, fucking that's game done. I knew what I was looking at. So the third thing that I want to talk about here, and I have to get to this, Andrew.
Let's pause the third thing. I want to address Tudor. The first thing you said about the leadership, I totally agree. The Tudor thing for me, since we're here, and I want to knock this out. I agree with you to the extent that Tudor is not the problem, but what he is also, he also is not in any remote way a help. And
okay, I don't disagree. So here's the thing: they want Pochettino. They want Pochettino in the summer, and Pochettino wants them. Everybody knows that this is going to happen. We're just treading water to get there. They brought in Igor Tudor because Igor Tudor is the cheaper version of a Sam Allardyce or a fucking what's his name that just got fired. Anyway, and Eddie, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is he's a stay up specialist. So they brought him in. They were like, we'll get the BTEC one for half the price just to do a job until we can get Pochettino in. That was exactly what they did, and that's exactly what we're dealing with. So we should expect them to play that way. My issue is that we're not healthy, and we continually get our best players sent off. And if that's the issue that we're dealing with, Igor Tudor could be fucking Alex Ferguson, and it's not going to make a difference.
I think that's fair. I think that Igor Tudor does not really know, and how could he? He's had these players for 3 matches. I don't think he knows his personnel whatsoever. It's like he's never seen any of these players before. And granted, he's coached at least one of them. And I don't know. I just don't know that he actually gets that this is he's saying a lot of things, but he's not doing anything. And I'm so puzzled. You mentioned it before. I'm so puzzled not only by the back 3 when you only have really two center backs on the field to start the game, and one after Van de Ven is sent out. Why you're still sticking with a back three in that spot when you don't have the center backs to play that position? And even if you're going to do that, why the fuck is Pedro Porro playing center back? Like, he's the one guy that you can actually use in attack mode, and you're playing him as a right center back in this game. Whereas you've got Archie Gray playing wing back, and you've got Polina there.
Well, dude, okay, shout out to Archie Gray. Archie Gray was incredible.
Archie Gray has done absolute bits in development this season. And
100%.
It's incredible because we thought that like last season as well. And there's absolutely, it sucks because there's virtually nothing to show for it for Archie Gray. I mean, granted, there's a Europa League there. He's gotten his goal scoring and his assists have come on a little bit. Archie Gray has been great. I have nothing but great things to say about Archie Gray. I don't understand these lineups. I don't understand, and I get it. There are players suspended. There are players hurt. All of the things. But these lineups make no sense. And
let me ask you this question.
Like, why did we have Richarlison, Xavi, and Conor Gallagher on the bench in this match? That I did not understand.
Are you serious?
Not a lick of understanding for that.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
We have a fucking Champions League knockout match on Tuesday. Or Wednesday, whatever the fuck it is. You don't give a shit, but the board does. Igor Tudor got his marching orders and said, you make sure we have a good showing in Europe because each successive round makes 3 times as much money as each place you gain in the Premier League. Stay
and you
up.
lose it all if you get relegated, so who gives a shit?
Stay up and progress in the Champions League. So if I'm a stay-up manager and I'm looking at this and I'm going, I don't have these people healthy, I think he went into that game going, I need to rotate folks for Wednesday. They're fucking exhausted because they've been playing this entire season. This is the game I'm going to do it. Because where else am I going to do it? Am I going to do it against Liverpool, which is what I suggested? But he doesn't want to do that because it's a primetime game and you got to have a good showing against the Big Four. Like I get for everybody's CV. I get that. So if I'm looking at it, this is the rotational game. And we were playing well on the rotational game, but the issue is that Mickey gets sent off, and then you got a bunch of rotational fucking players that are doing the best they can to solve the problem. Truth be told, they got stunned, and then they got knocked out in that first half, like stoppage time. Like that shit happens in football. It happens in fighting, happens in football. They got stunned by that Mickey pen and that successive scored penalty, and they got knocked out in stoppage time.
I just found it baffling that you're not putting Richarlison on the pitch when he's been the guy. Like you want a guy that's going to fight in a relegation battle. You want a guy that's going to scratch, claw, blight, and do everything.
Dude, there's still 9 games. There's still 9 games. But everybody's acting, yourself included. Like we got relegated on Thursday.
No. People, here's the problem. People are just now coming to the realization that this relegation battle is real. It's not that we got relegated.
Who are those people?
Just now waking up.
Those are delusional ass people. If you look at Spurs Twitter, everybody's already making plans for their championships away days next year. I'm telling you right now that Spurs Twitter is not the barometer of how all fans are feeling, and I respect that. But if you look at the way that we're being talked about in the BBC, if you look at the way that we're being talked about on Sky Sports, on the fucking the Gary Neville show, like they're basically writing Spurs off, saying we are the worst. We are in the worst form of the 3 relegation sides, and we're casting our ballot for the championship right now. And I'm not that fucking guy. I'm looking at it
where's
going.
Where's the lie there? Where's the lie?
There isn't a lie. The only difference between us and those other relegation sides, we're in the fucking Champions League. And I got to worry about Atletico Madrid on Tuesday as much as I got to worry about fucking Crystal Palace on Thursday. Like, and that's where my head's on this, Andrew, is that like again, you have to look at it in the macro. If you look at it in the micro, you're going to go crazy because this looks like shit.
I hear what you're saying about you have a Champions League match to play on Tuesday. I do. But like, if you're worried about rotating for that, why didn't you fucking start Yves Bissouma, who's not even eligible to play on Tuesday? Like,
because you got to play that guy against Liverpool, is my perspective. And you thought you had a better chance of doing what you were doing. And to be fair, it was working until Mickey got sent off. Like that's the point that I don't think that people are thinking about. It was working until he got sent off. Even the best fighters in the world get stunned and knocked out. So, like, as much as I'm looking at this going, yeah, man, this was a really tough L, especially on the back of the tough L's we've been taking after tough L's we've been taking. I get it. But in a vacuum, this isn't nearly as bad. It was a singular mistake, and then we got knocked out. And that happens.
All of that is to say, I don't think Igor Tudor is up to this, and
I don't disagree.
Reports are that they are going to be sticking with him at least through Tuesday, but the reports also say we'll see after that. Like, I think this is on a game-to-game basis.
Who gives a fuck, man? Like, I look at this and I go, who else are you going to bring in? How are you going to make it better? How's it going to be any different? What I tell you about Igor Tudor is he's saying in the media exactly what the club wants a manager to be saying in this relegation battle in the media. If Igor Tudor comes out and goes, you know what, dude, I'm really looking forward to Barnsley away next year. I think that the club's going to be able to do really good things. Like, how's that going to play in the front office? It's not. Right? So what you've got to have is a figurehead at the front that says, I know shit's bad, but we're working on it, and we're going to make sure that we're here in the Premier League next season. That's all I want from Igor Tudor. And then you can say, you know what? We've got a great run in Europe right now. While our streak in Europe is virtually unmatched by any team playing, we're doing big things in Europe. We are a European club. And this is the thing that Tottenham Hotspur can say.
I actually have a stat on this if you would like this. Tottenham have won 12 of their last 17 matches in European competition.
Mm-hmm.
They have won 11 of their last 48 in the Premier League.
And I mean, those are wild numbers.
Remarkable.
But this is a perfect opportunity for me to bring you to point number 3. And point number 3 is the failure to retain Ange Postecoglou is the reason why we are in the position that we are in right now. And you mentioned the fact that it's a mentality thing. And I would agree with you and say that the only reprieve that us as Tottenham fans have gotten from the Spursy mentality issue is the 2 years that we employed Ange Postecoglou. Because that man came in and he said, I'm going to do this. And we're going to do it like this. And when we're done, you're going to remember my fucking name. And he looked at us all in the face on the greatest day that Spurs fans have had in this millennia. And he said, season 3 is always better than season 2. And they fucking fired him a week later.
Yep.
And you reap what you sow.
And you said this is what I was not going to want to talk about? This was the one
Because I've been telling you motherfuckers for 18 months that Ange is the way. 18 fucking months. I looked at all of you and said, even when it's tough, Ange is the way. I'm the guy that says stick with the coach that is a leader of men. I'm a guy that says let better coaches be put around him to coach the X's and O's and let him lead the men. And that's what Ange fucking does. And every single winner of the 2025 Europa League will look at you in the face and say what you want to say about Ange, but I would run through a fucking brick wall for that guy.
So obviously, with Ange, in light of Ange's comments on the overlap a few weeks ago and knowing what we know now, hindsight is always going to be this thing. If you go back, though, on the podcast, on this very show, back to, I guess we're talking about a year ago now, when all of this was bubbling up about whether Ange should stay or not through this run, I was pretty defiant for most of the tailspin of last season in saying, no, this guy needs 3 full seasons. You need to keep him in place. Like, I did not think he should have been gone. And then when they fired him, I said, there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to change it. I get why they did it. I understand it. But it didn't really make a whole lot of sense for all that he brought to the table. And I'll talk about this. Like you said, I wasn't going to talk about it. I'm kind of going to agree with you. And that's not to say that if Ange was still in place,
I'm gonna timestamp that.
No. I mean, look, again, we can all do the hindsight thing. And I'm not sitting here saying if Ange was in place at Tottenham Hotspur still, that things would be going swimmingly. I'm not saying that. I don't think things would be all peachy keen. And a big part of the reason for that is because of all the things he talked about in that interview. The club has not taken the initiative for whoever's in charge. But at least with Ange, you did have something different there. You had that mentality thing that we've been harping on, and you had, that's just who we are, mate. You had all of that going for you, and you flushed it with the Europa League trophy that you won. You flushed it all. You flushed all that goodwill and said, no, Thomas Frank's going to come in here and be the leader of
all
men.
that validation for the highest prices in the league, all the validation for the big moves that you're making, everything. You flushed it over the course of 9 fucking months. And I look at that and I go, like, it wasn't one mistake that you made. It was the cavalcade of mistakes that have been made over the course of the last 9 months that have led to this place. But what I would say to you is that all of that started. The first domino that fell was sacking Ange. And in that moment, it's been a shitstorm ever since.
I cannot disagree with anything that you're saying, while adding the only caveat that it doesn't hindsight is what it is. It doesn't mean X does not equal Y does not equal Z in this situation. But the way that the club has gone about it has absolutely cratered them to the point that they very well may be suffering a catastrophic relegation here in 9 more matches. Maybe. I'm not saying they are. But
I'm saying maybe is a fair place to sit. I don't think it's going to happen, mostly because we're Tottenham fucking Hotspur, and for all the things that means. But also, it could very well happen because we're Tottenham fucking Hotspur. And that's one of the things. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, this could break 50-50 for me, and so I refuse to go negative with it.
Well, and if you look at like percentages, the analytics would tell you that the actual percentage chance of Spurs suffering relegation this season sits at around 16 or 17%. Which,
now,
when you think about it, that doesn't sound that high. But the fact that Spurs the number is that high for them at this point is a story.
Yeah, you're not wrong, brother. Like, I'm not sitting here and telling you that you're wrong. What I'm sitting here and telling you is that Man United was 16th last year. And they went out and they made 3 purchases, and it completely changed the face of their organization again. And that's despite all the fucking leaky buildings and the gym rat lifts and all the bullshit.
Well, and they've still gone through a managerial shift this year too. Like, it hasn't all been peachy keen there, but
certainly
look at where they are on the table compared to us.
And this is what the fuck I'm talking about. So no, I'm not burning it to the stumps and raising it up again. Like, I am saying, we are healthy players and quality leadership away from being a fully relevant team again. And I think the thing that I like the most about Igor Tudor is the fact that that guy's going to wear it. Good, bad, otherwise, he's going to wear it. And I need somebody that's going to go out there and wear it and not be a fucking coward in front of the English media, because everybody wants us to fail at this point in time. Yeah. They want us to fail, and I refuse to follow somebody that'll fucking use an Arsenal Cup in the middle of a relegation battle. If I see that individual, I don't want to hope bad things about him, but if they happen to him, I wouldn't.
Igor Tudor's going to wear it. Igor Tudor's going to wear it because that's what he's being paid to do, though. Like, that's the only reason for that.
Well, it's kind of what he is, dude. If you're a relegation specialist, you wear it. You know it's not good.
So before we get completely off the game, and I do have a few more stats I want to read to you just to get your reaction, but you mentioned his name earlier. I do just want to continue to point out that our goalkeeper is not a Premier League goalkeeper in any way, shape, or form. He is actively bad still. Like, I thought we might see a little bit of improvement. And yes, I know what you're going to say. There were rumors that he was going to be benched for this match, but prior to, for Anton and Kinski. I was baffled when it didn't happen. And as that match played out, I was sitting there going, I don't know, like he's got to be gone this summer, right? They have to be replacing the goalkeeper. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. There's been talks about rumblings, if you will, about 3 or 4 different goalkeepers that are on the short list for Spurs. Okay. Spurs have forever done an excellent job of recruiting goalkeepers, save this particular situation. However, what are you going to say about the fact that Vicario lifted a trophy with Spurs? So he'll forever be in that team, and that's awesome. 100%. Good for him. For that team, for that run, he stood on his head. Good for you, Vicario. Now get fucked.
He's a Europa League goalkeeper. He's not a Premier League goalkeeper. There's a difference.
Oh, you're not wrong at all, sir. You are not wrong.
And by the way, who was the clown that popped in for a minute? Golini? Wasn't he a thing too? Like, Spurs need to figure
No,
this
no, no.
out.
What I was going to say is the Paratici was not good at finding goalkeepers, and so like that's kind of what we're dealing with here. The Antonin Kinski one was a Johan Langa signing, and so and again, which makes total sense. The fucking 17-year-old handsome blonde kid. Check the hard drives. And I'm just saying that as you're looking at this, it's not a surprise that that's what we're dealing with. Two Italian goalkeepers, neither one of them are good at things other than rapping.
Well, and again, I'm not one to pat my back, but there's one person on this podcast that has been dogging Vicario since he got here, and I'll two thumbs pointed right at this guy. I have not seen it, and
That's
I
facts.
still don't see it. So I'm out, fully out.
So my perspective on Macario was I thought that he was coming in as a project, a little bit of an older project, a late bloomer goalkeeper coming into his prime. Instead, what I got is this guy has limitations, and he's not going to get better at them.
And he's really good at the one thing he's good at. Like, I'll give him.
No,
that.
he is a world class reaction save goalkeeper.
The other problem
if
is
he has to think even a little bit, he is mid at best.
The other problem is you get a lot of opportunities to make those kinds of saves when you play for Spurs, which is not great.
Certainly have. We certainly have over his tenure with the club. You're not wrong, Jesus. But this is what I'm saying. You remove Romero, and then all of a sudden, Vicario looks even worse than he already did. You remove Romero and Van de Ven, and he's a Europa League goalkeeper. You're not wrong. And so I guess he's just been exposed more this season than he has in the previous ones.
Yeah, 100%. A couple of things I wanted to read off to you. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people saw it, but this is the first time in the Premier League era that Spurs have gone winless in 11 straight league matches, which is just, again, stats that are baffling. Remember, folks, they only play 38 games, so that's nearly a third of the season that we're talking about here. The other one here. And this will speak to the relegation discussion that I want to have here in a moment. But Spurs, after match day 9 this season, we're sitting on 17 points, which means they have 12 points from their last 20 matches.
Sounds about right.
Which is an average of 0.6 points per match in that span. Over that same time span, Wolves have 14 points.
Yep.
Where we have the 12, which is obviously why we are in the position that we are in. And they didn't even win a match until January the 3rd.
And they're starting to round into form, to be fair. Like, they're getting better as the season's going along, and we're headed – same with West Ham, and we are headed in the fucking opposite direction of that. And then you look at the way that fucking Morgan Gibbs-White is back-healing goals against City, and it's like, listen, man, I see why everybody's trying to write us off. I'm just not that guy. Plus, I mean, Cootie will be back on Tuesday, and Mickey can play on Tuesday. So I feel like – or Wednesday, whatever it is, this week for Champions League.
Tuesday. It is Tuesday this week.
It is Tuesday, okay. And then at the weekend, it's fucking Liverpool. So, I mean, they could call me and I'd suit up if it means we get to rest people.
I still am not on board. You can't rest anyone. You can't rest anyone.
I know you can't. I'm saying I'd like to.
I know.
You know what I do is I'd love to start like Byfield and Williams-Barnett here and just be like, go get them, kids.
It will be Romero and Danso, I would assume, would be the
Well, yeah, I would certainly agree. And so I look at that and I go, hey, that's a 2 I'm not mad at, bro.
Well, but I guess you have to throw a third one in there because this goober keeps throwing out 3 at the back when it's not really working.
So who's the third? What do you bring Paulinho back in there again? I guess
I don't mind Paulinho as a center back, to be perfectly honest,
same.
in a 3, but this bald-headed goober played Porro at the back 3 instead. So I don't understand.
So my question on that is I think that had to do with the other substitutions that were already made, did it not? I mean, especially you're saying, oh, how can you play Porro at the back? He's got 10 men, bro.
No, I mean, this was to start the match.
I know, but I'm saying, like, as it goes to 10, like, what are you going to do? If you're playing Porro because you're resting... if you're playing Porro because you're resting for Tuesday, it makes sense to me.
He was still persisting with the back 3 after we had gone down to 10 men. Like, he was still persisting with this, not trying to push anything up, not even trying to get anything out of the match, which is, again, we're reverting back to the Tudor conversation, but this is my big issue with this guy. Nothing seems to compute for me personally.
Brother, I look at that situation and I go,
I get that you're asking him to make a meal out of a shit sandwich, but it's.
I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to defend Tudor, and that's the thing. Like being on the other side of this argument, it's like, well, no, he's fucking Igor Tudor. Do I want him in Spurs? Fuck no, I don't want him in Spurs. But I got to wait around until Pochettino can either coach this team and get out of his contract, or they can cancel this World Cup and we can get out of this contract, and we can keep it moving. But we're not there yet, so I don't really know what we're gonna do.
Yeah. The last stat I have for you is not even one I really want to read, but I kind of just want to read it to get your reaction. So if you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube. You should.
Come hang out.
YouTube.com/Tottenham Depot. You can see the reaction that Todd's about to hear from this. This is from Opta Analysis. You know how many points the league leaders have this season?
How many?
They have 67.
Oh, gross.
Do you know how many points Spurs have since the start of last season?
67.
They have 67. That's where we are. That's the place that we find ourselves in.
And I think when you look at that, and you look at the upheaval that's happened at this club, and you look at the literally, truly insurmountable amount of key injuries that this club has sustained.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think probably one of the most damning things that came out of that Ange interview was when he asked for better physio stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, nah." And we don't have any. We don't even like. We're the seventh richest club in the world, and we don't even have our own MRI machine. Well, I'm looking at this going.
Right. We heard that from Scott Munn when we talked about that last week.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So,
similar.
And I'm looking at that going, well, if you're going to buy these things and then you're not going to do the maintenance to keep them up, you're going to be driving around with a fucking DeLorean with a brown door. Like, what are we doing?
If you don't get your oil changed every 3,000 miles, what are you doing?
And the thing is that this is systemic. This is an enic issue. The rot goes all the way to the top. And like, for whatever reason, I keep saying that. And I feel like a crazy person screaming out the back door of my house because the club isn't doing shit about it. And it's like, well, what are they going to do? Fire themselves? They're making too much money. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I don't know, Andrew.
That's where we are, man. That's where we are. I want to look ahead a little bit because, again, this is where we are. And we've talked. I mean, is there anything else you want to say about Tuesday? Going to Madrid,
Listen, that's a rad stadium. I'm really excited that the guys are going to get away from the heat of the British media and the kind of looking glass or the magnifying glass that they're under right now, because it's really tough, especially with all these losses on the bounce. Everywhere you go, like a rival fan wants to give it to you. You go to Europe, you go to Spain as a reigning cup holder of a prestigious European trophy. And you got that Champions League ball on your shoulder, and you got the music blasting, the anthem blasting in the stadium, and that stadium is huge, and it's going to be packed. Like, that's what football's all about. So as these kids are going through a slog, against fucking Crystal Palace, and it's pissing rain, and everybody hates your guts because you're losing right now, like, you get a reprieve, man. You get a break. Igor Tudor has managed in Europe several times. This isn't his first rodeo. So, as you know, managing in a cup competition is completely different than managing in the league. So, I definitely think that Igor learned from the Ange approach and went, listen, if I can put a little run together here, like some magic things can happen, I'm going to get paid. So, listen, we got very few things left in this season to hold on to. This is one of them. Grab on with both fucking hands. Let's go crush those assholes.
I'm just going to be completely honest with the listeners. I have very little interest in the Champions League for the rest of the way. I'm dead serious. I'm just being dead straight with the listeners.
So have you booked your away day at Barnsley too, bro?
No,
is that where we are?
It's not that. It's more I don't want to focus on personally. It's not that I'm saying the club shouldn't focus on trying to put their best foot forward in Madrid on Tuesday and in the return leg a week later. I'm not saying that. Personally, I find it hard to get invested in, oh yeah, let's go beat Atletico Madrid in the round of 16 for what exactly? Because the glowing like cloud above us is not going to go away even if things go right there. Like, this team faces a very real threat for the rest of the season, and that's kind of just where all of my mental status has gone for this club.
Well, I think that's kind of, you just laid it out right there, right? It's a mentality thing.
It,
I look at the things that I can control, and the things that I can control are the games that we have in front of us.
mm-hmm.
And if we put together a decent run, you guys won a European trophy last year. You know as well as anybody. All you have to do is beat the one team in front of you.
Yep.
And if that's the message from Tudor, and he's out there talking, and Archie Gray's going out there and doing the best he fucking can, and we get Cootie back, and that changes everybody and everything. Like, I'm looking at this going, we've got one of two ways that we can go with this, Andrew. We can resign ourselves to the fact that our football club is shit right now, and we deserve to go down because our ownership completely went against the desires of the fans and the desires of the players and the desires of the coaches that they've hired for millions of pounds, and did what made the most sense for their pocketbook. So fuck them. And we could take that approach, or we could look at it and go, we're Tottenham fucking Hotspur, and we're in the round of 16 of the Champions League, the most prestigious tournament in the world. We have European pedigree, something that not every team from London can say. And we can do special things under those lights. So it's ultimately your choice, my guy. You get to choose. If you want to hang on to your limitations, you get to choose them. I tell my kids that all the time. Because at the end of the day, what you focus on expands.
I want to just kind of look even further into the future beyond Tuesday and even the following Wednesday. But in between, we've mentioned it, Spurs go to Anfield. That same match week, we'll see Nottingham Forest host Fulham, and West Ham will host City. Those two teams are swapping opponents for the next match week. So that's kind of where it goes. And then the next match week for Spurs is actually the home match with Forest. So a real 6-pointer coming up 2 matches from now in the Premier League. I'm going to continue to just kind of look at the grid that I've got here of these 3 teams. And yes, there is the lead, like Spurs could jump leads and we could drag them into this too. There is still time. That is kind of where my brain is and where my focus is it's 9 matches. And if Spurs continue this form that I mentioned, 12 points from their last 20, if they continue that type of form over the next 9 matches, they're going to be playing in the championship next season. Like if they continue, the form
I agree with that. I mean,
improve.
That is the truest thing that anybody could possibly say about this situation. Is if you continue on your current trajectory, you're going down. If you have the ability to somehow right the ship and change direction, and something like a win in the away leg of the Champions League round of 16 could be the catalyst to do just that, Andrew. But let's say we get a squeaky draw at Anfield, and then we go home and we get the opportunity to go to the fortress that is the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in Europe and host Atletico Madrid. And then we get to play at home again in that 6-pointer coming off the back of 5 or 7 points over the course of our last 3 matches. That's the type of thing that can spur on a winning streak is what I'm getting at. So, am I writing this off? Absolutely not. Do I think all of these positive things are going to happen? We'll see. I don't want to say no. Anything can happen, especially in Europe, especially when you're talking about Spurs. Am I confident that they will happen? Fuck no. We got to figure some shit out. I don't know what we're doing over here. But that's not why they're paying. They're not paying me the big bucks. That's what the bald-headed goober, I think is what you called him. That's why they're paying him the big bucks.
I can say that as a fellow bald-headed goober. That's the only reason I said it that way. Let's be very clear. No, man, I hear you. We'll watch it play out. We'll talk about it. I love the enthusiasm and I love the positivity. I'm very much a show me it before I believe it type of thing. I have seen nothing and I see nothing that is going to improve this form. So that's why I'm so worried. And that's why my head is where it is. And I don't think that I'm alone, which is the other thing.
Well, you're certainly not alone.
Yeah,
there's been meltdown all over the Twitter sphere.
And that's the thing. I'm not melting down so much as saying, hey, I don't actually see where they're getting, like, I was messaging my dad about this the other day. My dad, who's a very, very casual soccer fan, extremely casual, like gets a lot of his information from me. And I said, like, there's 9 matches left and I can maybe see them at this point, truthfully, getting 3 or 4 points. Like, that's how I feel about those nine matches. You're talking about 27 potential points, and I can see them maybe getting 3 or 4. I'm like, all right.
Let me ask you a question. If we had 11 men, do you think we get a point from the Palace match? Because I do.
I think potentially, but
so here's my thing.
Saying, but that's saying
if they would have given the Kolomawani goal, if they would, that's funny. If they would have given the Kolomawani goal, as they rightfully should have, are we going to ship? Are we going to ship 3 more goals to Arsenal? No, we're not.
They're Arsenal.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying that these are sliding doors moments, right? These are individual sliding doors moments that completely change the narrative of the game.
Right.
And so what I'm saying to you is we've had a lot of bad breaks this year. A fucking lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about how many. I don't want to get into the stats. I want to do a full episode on that at the end of the season when the stats are complete, so we can talk about exactly how much fuckery with the data to back it up went on this season. But what I do want to say is that there is the possibility for us to turn this around and still salvage something positive. If we make a Champions League semifinal run and we stay up, given all the nonsense that we've endured, I will view the end of the season as a success.
Yeah, if we make the semifinals and stay up, that's like, of course that'd be a success. At this point, frankly, staying up is a success. That's the where I'm at. Like, that's the success. That's the only thing that matters. You have to stay
That's
up.
Where you're at. I'm in the Champions League quarter round of 16. Like, I'm trying to look at the thing that I can find. Like, positively, if we make a run, if we win,
I guess
if we
what
win
I would say is
2 more matches, we're in the quarterfinal.
I know that Spurs have had a lot of bad breaks. I guess my only question is, does that mean you believe that good breaks are coming over these last 9
Well,
games?
as I mentioned on the last pod, brother, like, I feel like we're going to get some people back healthy. And if we're still making deep runs in the Champions League, healthy bodies is an important aspect of that. All we have to do is have a good showing on Tuesday, and it changes the complete complexion of our season. And you heard it here first.
We'll see if it happens. 2 more stories I wanted to touch on. One of them kind of involving the Champions League, and it's not a good one. Spurs were fined this week by UEFA £30,000 after it was discovered that 3 Spurs fans went to Eintracht Frankfurt in late January and were seen doing Nazi salutes toward the Frankfurt fans during that match. The fans have obviously been indefinitely banned. The club will face further potential supporter bans. There's a probationary period, all of that. There's no real opinion to have on this. There's no real commentary to have other than, what the fuck are we doing? Like, get the fuck out of my club. This is some of the most heinous shit, especially in this day and age when authoritarian governments are taking over everywhere, including right here in these very United States. Like, let's just not. Let's just not.
Let's just not is a great way to put it. It's
really fucking embarrassing to be, especially to be the club that have the history that Spurs do. You know?
That's why when you told me this story, I was like, "Are you sure that they were Spurs fans?"
Exactly.
Right.
That's the part that's pretty baffling. So a big fuck you to those fans.
Fuck you.
Don't ever call yourself a Spurs fan doing that shit. We're going to flip it completely on its head now and talk as we, put the cherry on the Sunday of this podcast, and just give a big shout out to Mr. Martin Ho, who was named USL Manager of the Month for the month of February.
Well deserved.
The club obviously won 2 of the 3 matches in February, including that big 7-3 win over Aston Villa. Spurs women still on the international break. I don't know if I have not been able to watch any of the Asian Cup on the women's side. I know that Claire Hunt and Australia are already through to the knockout stages. Toku Koga, Mika Hamano playing for Japan are going to be there soon. They are obviously one of the better teams. So I have not gotten a chance to check out any of that. I've been kind of tracking it, seeing how that's progressing, but that's still going on. There's obviously the She Believes Cup is still going on.
The She Believes Cup, I've seen a couple of matches of that.
Yeah. I actually attended the She Believes Cup when it was out here last year. It's a good little event especially for an extended international break. So Spurs women, of course, not back in action still for another week. So we will talk about them when they come back around, and hopefully they can get the players back from international duty to get the bodies back and who knows, make a push. I mean, they are still only, what is it? They're still only 4 points out of a Champions League spot technically. I mean,
I'm saying, man, we're on a cup run. We got Champions League in our sights. I'm saying that there's a possibility. There's an outside shot. Plus, the team is playing well. We got some fresh bodies in the window, and I think that they're starting to get their sea legs under them in this league and in the squad, and that's really important. So, positive thing on the horizon for the ladies, Andrew.
Yeah, it is Everton at the stadium on the 15th, so next Sunday, and we'll look forward to that one. But otherwise, yeah, that's all you got, man. You got anything else for us this week?
Shout to Delhi, just
Delhi's
because
training.
he's Delhi. We fucking love myself some Delhi, and he was training at the lane. So shout to that guy. I hope he comes to LAFC. You heard it here first. I hope that's happening. I think it'll be a big deal for him.
You mean Tottenham Hotspur West?
That's exactly what I said. Oh, by the way, go watch the Gareth Bale interview on Gary Neville's show. It just dropped, and it's epic. The story, Taxi from Icon, is from his perspective, it's worth a listen.
That gives me something to do the rest of the weekend. That is going to do it for this episode of the Tottenham Depot. Be sure to check out our episodes, as I mentioned earlier, on the YouTube page, youtube.com/Tottenham Depot, and subscribe. If you're watching the videos there, you might as well hit the follow button, because then they're going to pop up in your notifications, and you're going to see when we have a new episode. We're not always recording at the same time every week, as is evidenced by this recording happening right now on a Friday evening. So
tell your friends.
Leave us a rating and review on your podcast apps of choice to help spread the word. You can follow Todd at TC_Kasho. You can follow me at Astetka. Most importantly, though, follow us at Tottenham Depot on all the socials. We will talk to you next week. This has been the Tottenham Depot podcast. As always, come on, you Spurs.